What if I told you that the major scale not only cracks the code for melody, but unlocks harmony as well? What if I told you that all of the chords we hear in the music we love boil down to simple tonal relationships that we already know? And what if I told you that all of the colorful harmony that makes us cry, get energized, feel happy and scared are right in front of our faces? Well, today we'll take a little journey through the vertical relationships between notes and talk about melodic versus harmonic intervals, compare the intervals, and discuss consonance and dissonance along the way. This will lay the foundation for understanding and playing harmony by ear. So how exactly does the major scale crack the code for harmony? In the same way, the scale degrees 1 through 8 clarify the way countless melodies behave. The major scale also gives us access to harmony. It's a backstage pass into a subject that for so many feels out of reach. Now for the fun part. Thank you, Kevin, as always. Never gets old. To begin, we'll start with a note on any instrument, but if you're on the guitar, I recommend following along with the open D string. We'll call this our 1. Following our interval chart, which you can access below, the first chord we'll check out for ourselves is the perfect unison. Right here. The chord we hear when we play a 1 and a 1. Yeah, you heard me right. We'll play 2 of the same note. Real groundbreaking, Warren. Anyway, we have 1, 1. So here's another 1. For the record, the same note exists in multiple places on the guitar. Also note that I'm playing these notes melodically, which means I'm playing one after the other in sequence. Now that we have 2 1s, we have our first example of harmony, and now I'll play them harmonically, which simply means that I'm playing them simultaneously. Now, this isn't exactly the most complex thing you've probably heard, but imagine the people who first discovered this. The first moment 2 people sang together. I can't really tell you how huge harmony is. It's massive. Now that's cool in and of itself, but while one stays put, the other suddenly moves and creates an effect even more chillingly beautiful. As I move up and down the major scale, try to appreciate what is happening harmonically. Notice the differences between this and this. I can make all sorts of colorful combinations that sound pleasant simply by applying the relationships in the major scale to the fretboard. And every one of them is already embedded within our favorite songs, likely hiding in plain sight right in front of us. I've said this before, and I'll say it again. It's all about relationships. From here, I can make a couple tweaks too, to create some other relationships that you might recognize. And that's just 2 strings. What happens if we add a string? Let's undo one of the tweaks I just made and change the flavor up a little bit. And maybe you'll recognize this favorite of mine from a little band that hails from Iceland. Or this one by the same group. Whoa, 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 whoa. Hold on a second, Warren. Are you telling me that Sigur Rós and Radiohead songs can be explained by vertical relationships? These relationships that are right in front of my face? Yes. One vertical relationship after another. When you get familiar with the different vertical relationships that you get from the major scale and you put everything in its right place, chords and chord progressions suddenly become a little less daunting, a little more accessible. But we have to start somewhere. And that somewhere is the interval chart. The relationships between the notes of the major scale open the door, and all we need to do is to take the first step and explore. Now you can probably tell the difference between a perfect unison and a major second. But can you tell the difference between this and purely by ear? And how about this? And you might also notice as you explore that some intervals feel more plain or easy on the ears. Also known as consonant, while others feel a bit less nice or comforting in contrast, or also known as dissonant. Now, consonants and dissonants are not meant to ascribe rightness or wrongness to intervals, but they do give us insight into larger ideas we'll talk about later on in this series that impact how we analyze chord progressions, the ideas of tension and resolution. Now, your first piece of homework in this module is simply to explore the relationships in the major scale, starting with the perfect unison and moving on to the major second, then the major third, and so on and so forth until you get all the way to the perfect octave. Explore these combinations and experience them. Behold the uniqueness of each pair, the differences between pairs as you compare and contrast. I've included every pair in the key of C major in an interactive YouTube video for you below. Play them with your keyboard using the keys 1 through 8 and get to know them. Have fun with them. Some of you might be wondering what it sounds like when we play freely without regard for the major scale. Well, you get some interesting and sometimes nasty sounding stuff. But you can also get some very dramatic and beautiful sounds as well when you use them together with the scale degrees we already know. Just made that up. You'll know you're getting really familiar with them when you can tell the difference between them just by ear. Have a friend or a family member play them while your back is turned so you can be quizzed. In our next video, we'll learn how to build these colorful structures from the ground up and get to know the most popular interval. And by that, I mean the one that gets all the ladies, the third.